Consulting and brand positioning. Let's talk about how to elevate your status in the marketplace so others instantly perceive you as the number one celebrity authority. This is applicable to anything that we discuss in this training course, whether it's affiliate marketing, selling your own online courses, selling on Amazon, starting your own consultant business, buying another business and then ramping that up, launching your bestseller book. If you understand these factors, you're 90% of the way there, and people are more likely to choose you anyway. So, why do you have to do this? Well, it's foundational to everything that you do online. I love what Dan Kennedy always says. He says, people will always pay you more for who you are than for what you do. Many times, we as professionals, we think that if we have more credentials behind our name, that's going to persuade people to buy our products and services. And sometimes that does play a factor, certainly in establishing expertise, but it really is about being a bigger who in the eyes of your customers and your prospects. Everyone can go and get their doctorate degree, for instance, or do a diplomate in a organization or what have you. But not everyone can be a bigger who. And I always like to use the Dr. Oz in this scenario. Not only is he a specialist, but he's also a celebrity specialist or celebrity expert. He's at the top of the food chain. And those at the top of the food chain typically get paid much, much higher because of their perception in the marketplace. Now, is he the actual best cardiothoracic surgeon on the planet? Probably not. Is he the most well known? Absolutely. That's why he has so much trust associated with. So, we're going to discuss ways that you can elevate the status of your brand. And I'm telling you, if you do this, this is a great way for you to stand out from everyone else in the market that you plan on servicing so you can help more people and generate more sales as a result. This is applicable to any business, brand, niche, or industry. And it really revolves around positioning. What is it? Positioning is how you're perceived in the prospective customer's mind from their initial interaction with you. All about first impressions. I mean, if it was offline, as you walk and you connect with somebody, you look at their physical appearance, automatically, whether we like it or not, we are judging them as to how they look, how professional they are, how competent, all those things. Same thing happens online when you see an individual for the first time or you go to a website. All of these things go through your mind and help you determine if this person, if this brand is credible and trustworthy. All we're trying to do is stack the chips in our favor. Here's some questions you have to ask. What do you want the market to think about you? Do you have a personal story of hardship, tragedy, or triumph? Do you appear professional and elegant? Does your brand appear cheap or premium? Does your website look like it was designed by a second grader? Do you appear likable and trustworthy? Have you earned or engineered celebrity status in your industry? Do you appear popular and well networked? Do you seem genuine and like you actually give a damn about your audience? Does your website give the impression that you're in demand? How many positive reviews do you, your company, and or product have online? Does your site make it seem like you're a large company? Do you come across as knowledgeable and enthusiastic? Do you have a mission/purpose as to why you do what you do? Now, let's talk about how to elevate your status and establish instant authority. There are really 14 ways that I've discovered that we can do this. And as we go through them, ask yourself, how many do you have working for you right now? The first one is to write and publish an international best-selling book. I've spoken about this previously. In fact, I dedicated an entire module about this in the Internet Income Club. It's so important. This isn't a short-term proposition, though. Now, you can get a book done in the short term, certainly, if you utilize a company like Upwork and have somebody just maybe transcribe and edit all of your words together. You can get on the phone weekly, or you can do it all at once in one sitting or a few times. There are faster ways to do it, but this usually takes a little bit of time. Here's the process simplified. You need to choose a topic and title. For my book, I didn't have the final title until I was finished with the book. I had a working title and a couple other ideas, but it wasn't finalized until the very end. So that's not the most important thing to start off with. You do need to get your table of contents, and I would just simply model New York Times best-selling authors in your specific category to get an idea of how they've structured their table of contents. And if the book warrants, get a resources section, case studies, stories, or articles. Write a little each day. This could be in the morning before everyone wakes up, but you need to plan time just to do a little bit every single day. If you have trouble writing, dictate and hire a ghostwriter from Upwork. Then hire a professional editor to make sure that all the grammar is perfect and the sentences are structured accordingly. You could either self-publish or submit your manuscript to a major New York publisher. When you launch the book, you need to have a professional website because the highest paid experts in the world, this is what they do. So you want to replicate that process. And I gave you an example of socialmediamademerich.com before. If you're looking to do this and you want access to the web developer that I used, the programmer, go ahead and message in the group and I can certainly send you those details. Launching the book, again, this is a lot of this is in the bestseller blueprint module that you have here. If you went to socialmediamademerich.com/launch-bonus, you'll see how we launched the book and what we did to incentivize people to buy. So, whether it was one book or 5 books, 10 books, you'll email your client and prospective client lists, family, friends, joint venture partners, people that have other large email lists or access to big lists of customers, Facebook advertising, there's Goodreads advertising, there's LinkedIn, there's all these other platforms that you can generate traffic to a specific landing page. This was one that I had built on my website itself, and so when somebody went and they came here from our landing page, they got access to not only the first 6 chapters, but my 5,000 Facebook fans in the next 30 days presentation and weekly training on ways to multiply their impact, influence, and their monthly income using social media. So I really wanted to stack the value on the front end so people would at least download the first 6 chapters so I could have them in my funnel. Then I could start to communicate with them, build liking and trust, and the overwhelming majority would definitely buy my book or choose one of the launch bonus packages. Another way to establish credibility and elevate your status in the marketplace is to attach to an Ivy League school. Now, you can do this through potentially speaking, or you can do it through maybe an online course. Many institutions you'll find, like Harvard and Yale, they have online courses. And if you could legitimately say you are a Harvard graduate of some course, that's a buzzword. So Harvard, MIT, Yale, Oxford, some of the major Ivy League schools that everyone is very familiar with. Speak or do postgraduate education there. Really 4 ways to speak at any Ivy League school. The first one is actually get accepted, invest $250,000 on education and graduate from there. You can donate vast sums of money to the university and its programs. Become a world famous influencer. Schools like that have reputations of inviting the best of the best to share their knowledge. Oprah, Warren Buffett, JFK, Bill Gates are just some of the few marquee names. Or you can know somebody on the inside that can pull some strings. But it would be worth trying to find some connection to an Ivy League institution. Next, you want to associate with trusted brands. And you can Google right now the Reputation Institute most credible brands and pull back companies that have spent many millions of dollars shaping market perception to really create this image in the community, in the world essentially, so you can attach to them potentially with speaking gigs, or maybe there's some way that you can both do business together. Maybe they can be one of your clients potentially. But credible brands are, crazy. If you look at a company like Rolex, I believe in 2019 was, according to the Reputation Institute, the #1 most credible brand. And you see that at higher end sporting events. You see that at luxury places. You've got companies like Disney, for instance, or I think even BMW was on the list. So look at that list and get an idea of how you could potentially associate and align with some of these brands. That helps you look the part and manage public perception. Tell your personal story. This is important when you're trying to elevate your status, and this will help you stand out from the marketplace. If everyone's doing the same thing, if you've got 50 different other consultants or 50 different other people in your industry launching a similar online course, what's to believe you versus anywhere else? I mean, do you have a story of tragedy to triumph? Feature it everywhere on your website, your Facebook fan page, in your videos, from stage when you do talks. In some of my Facebook advertising, I try to communicate different stories to people because I know that's going to hit at a much deeper level and differentiate my message and brand from every other person out there. And maybe you've seen this video. This was a video where I essentially told my personal story. Now, let me backtrack 1 second. When you tell your story, I'd recommend start doing it in a written format because, in my experience, sometimes written formats can perform better. Let's say on Facebook, for instance, you'll post an image, and I'll show you that in 1 second. You post an image that's a nice family image or something related, and then you can post the text. Some people just like to skim, but also have that in story format. So this particular video is titled After 25 Years It Happened. Over a million video views, you can see here, almost 5,000 likes and almost 2,000 shares. This is when we bought our first Ferrari, which was a monumental time in my life because it was a childhood dream that I had. And so I documented the entire process, and I didn't want to make it so much about the car as I did an inspirational story that anyone could come from a lower middle class background and really achieve their dreams. And it inspired a lot of people, as you can see just by the share numbers here. So that's how I told it, but you don't have to go and hire a professional videographer to do this. You can simply post an image. This is an image of us in Venice, Italy, but I told a very similar story just to do a basic split test and see which one would perform better on the social network. Next thing, create a custom category where you can be number one. This is classic Dan Kennedy. Now, in my book, I give a great example about, and this is a fictitious example, obviously, but I talk about Mary that, let's say she wants to start an underwater basket weaving business. And maybe she's the only one in the world. And she's got 5 customers, who knows? Well, technically, she is the largest underwater basket weaving retailer in the world. That's a very truthful statement. Now, let's say there was another competitor that was into underwater basket weaving that was in, I don't know, Europe somewhere. And maybe they had more customers. Well, it would be very simple for her to say, the largest basket weaving company in North America, which is a very true statement still. So you can always create a category of one where you can be the largest, and that automatically gives you credibility because people assume if you're number one, if you're the largest, you must be the best. Get featured in the news. You can do this a few different ways. You can go to a website called Help a Reporter Out. I think it's helpareporter.com, if I'm not mistaken, or helpareporterout.com. And this particular website allows you to potentially get news feed features. So, for example, let's say a local Atlanta news is looking for a story on social media and how it helps people to live better quality of life. And maybe they reach out to me because I'm a member of this Harrow network and they want my input. So I could potentially get featured in a story. Sometimes these are smaller publications. Other times they're large ones like Inc., Forbes, Fast Company, or some big magazines. It costs, I believe, $50 to be a member of this, but you can possibly get some great news features. Television, if you can get featured on the news, well, that's a big credibility factor because people trust usually what they see on TV. And it's better if you are featured on the news rather than just running a specific advertisement. If you're interested in getting featured on TV, I have a couple gentlemen that I work with. It's not inexpensive because, as you know, TV does cost a lot. Their programs are definitely worth it, though. So if you have some capital to invest and that's a route that you would love to go, then post it in the group or message me directly. PRweb.com, this is a press release website where you submit a press release and they basically distribute it to their massive network. If you select their $250 plan and above, they will get you into these local news network subsidiaries like NBC, ABC, Fox News, Fox News of Tampa, for instance. So you can legitimately say, as featured on CNN, Fox News, ABC, etc. Get a professionally designed website. This goes without saying. If your website looks like it was designed by a second grader, you've already lost the battle and people are going to believe you less. Just because you can design your own website doesn't mean you should. And it's worth spending the extra 1,000, 2,000, 5,000. Now, fortunately for what you're doing initially starting up, you can get a very clean website for probably $1,500, maybe even a little less, depending on how many pages and bells and whistles you want. When I launched this website initially, the woman that I found was on Upwork, and I want to say she charged me around $1,700 because I had some different features that I wanted to put on there, but I could have easily gotten something very similar for, potentially under 1,500, which is really good for a clean, elegant website like this. You can go all the way up to 10,000 plus for a website. That's not what you need to do though. If you're just starting out, you need to look the part though. On that particular website, if you notice, I have one of my options about speaking. Speaking from stage is a great way to elevate your status in the community. It's similar to writing a book in that so very few people are actually on stage in front of large audiences communicating, and it is a position of power. So I've even had clients of mine, for instance, that wanted to start their speaking careers. They might not have had a bigger audience, but that doesn't stop you from getting a professional photo shoot, for instance. You could go buy a wireless mic, have it in your ear so you look like you're speaking, and then have a professional photographer take some really nice shots of you in power poses. That's a great way to at least put it out there that you are ready and accepting speaking gigs, and so people actually look at you as a trusted figure. Once you get your own guest appearances, you or a family member, or maybe they have a professional photographer that is shooting the event, you want to access any pictures that are taken. I've spoken at many events where they've had professional photographers, and if you're going to hire a really, really strong pro, you could pay anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 for a day to shoot for a seminar. But many times I've gotten these pictures for free with me in front of very large crowds. So that is something that will enhance your credibility as you put yourself out or any product or service. And you can see that I've added this on my blog as well. People can see my speaking reel, sample talks, sample presentations, formats. I even include my speaking fee range on my website. Some speakers will do that, some won't. You can even join different speaker bureaus that have agents that may promote you. There's no right or wrong to going back to the fees. There's no right or wrong in putting that on your website. But if they're there, at least you're able to weed out people that are not even serious about approaching you. You can also be flexible. Some events I will speak at where they offer an honorarium up front, which is great. Other events I speak at where they allow me to soft sell my products and services on the back end. If you're a really great speaker, you're not as much concerned about the honorarium on the front end because you know that you can generate windfalls of income on the back end. And in my book, I talk about the speaking gig that I had in San Antonio, and this was my first one of my first really, really big ones where I was able to generate over, I think it was 16,000 within 45 minutes of speaking, which is it's incredible. And since then I've generated much more, but it goes to show you how lucrative speaking can be when you're positioned at the top of your game in the marketplace. All of these factors go together so you can create a brand that is prestigious so people want to do business with you. And this is without any sophisticated or fancy marketing. Add credibility boosting signals to the website. This is a reason why I have the Facebook like plugin here. It's also a reason why I have the Facebook fan widget down here on my blog, and right now I think we have over 62,000 fans. So when people come to my website, they see over 1,000 people like the site, they see that my Facebook profile has 62,000 fans, automatically there's some credibility established there, and so they would say, hey, well, let me stick around on this website. Maybe he has something of value to say. This is all about getting your foot in the door at least, so you can help people and get them the result they want to generate. Celebrity attachment. This is a big one. If you attach and align with certain celebrities through photos, some of that stardust and magic rubs off on your brand. Going back to the Dr. Oz example, one of the reasons why he is featured and regarded so highly is because, yeah, he's featured on major television news all the time, but he's consistently being featured with other marquee names and brands, other celebrities. And I've tried to do that through my career as well because I understand people's buying decisions. And this is another unique differentiating factor that, all things being equal, if somebody's trying to choose a social media revenue strategist and they're thinking that I'm the same as this man or woman down the street, if they now see me, for example, with a best-selling book, or associating and attaching with different celebrities like Tony Robbins, Sir Richard Branson on his private island, or Usher, for instance, this creates a narrative in that person's mind, and so they think, wow, if he's associating and rubbing elbows with these other individuals, he must be pretty good. He's must be well networked and whatnot. So I encourage you to, I mean, this could be everything from authors doing book signings to meet and greets at different concerts. Sometimes you can find, I give an example. My wife and I, many years ago, Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank, he did a wine tasting because he was launching a new brand, and it was at a place called STK Atlanta. And so we went to this event, and it was a really great event. There might have been maybe 30 people there maximum. So it was a very intimate gathering, and you got to spend a couple hours with Kevin O'Leary and a couple of his associates, and just actually speaking and talking with him personally. So it wasn't just like a quick on the go meet and greet, but we were able to get photos with him. And like, whenever people see photos with you with marquee names and celebrities, they always like to ask, at least me, like, wow, I saw that photo of you with Richard Branson. What was that like? And they're already blown away, and then you can communicate a certain story, and just it really helps you, quote unquote, sell that person on why you are really good at what you're doing. So you want to accumulate these assets for you. And this was a photo, for example, I this was the comedy club, and I got to meet Rob Schneider, who's a very big natural health advocate. This was many years ago, and I got to hang out with him for 20 minutes upstairs in the comedy room, just talking about health and wellness. Really good guy, and I mean, it cost me what, $20 to get into the comedy club. Yeah, so lots of opportunities that are available. Become a philanthropist. If you look throughout the history, I mean, the last couple hundred years, people have used philanthropy. Some have used it ethically, some have used it unethically. There are no shortage of people that have used it unethically. But when you start to give back to your community and you publish that, for instance, whether it's on your website, you have a giving back tab, and you're consistently active in doing that, one, I just think it's a great thing to do for causes and charities that you're passionate about. And it's just good for the soul. And two, it really allows other people to help rally around this movement as well. If they see you're committed to something bigger than yourself, that makes them want to do business with you. It's a really powerful entity. Even when I spend my money these days, I'm always looking for companies that do have core sets of values that are paying it forward in some way, shape, or form. I'm not the only one that selects who I do business with based on that. That's becoming very popular. So if you, again, everyone's going to be different with what type of organizations they support, but be very vocal and have that up front so people can see what you are about. Look the part. We already talked about that. Depending on what your industry is. I mean, if I look like a surfer from San Diego and I was trying to land prestigious speaking gigs at Ivy League institutions, or try to surface a certain type of, let's say, financial advisor clientele, I'd probably have less trust and credibility because I don't look the part. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. This is just how people judge you. It's the same thing if I was going to try to go out and teach surfing in San Diego. I don't look like the culture. So naturally, people would trust me less. This is kind of obvious. Understand and use research. If it's applicable, for example, when you are communicating in a video, or if you are speaking online, or even telling a story, those that use research and can cite and have references are usually perceived as more credible. For instance, if let's say you're promoting a product that deals with low back pain, there's a big difference between saying 80% of Americans have low back pain at some point in their lives and yada, 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 versus, according to Harvard University, 80% of Americans have low back pain at some point in their lives. And their study on this date, yada, 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 said that people are naturally going to trust you more when you throw out studies or these marquee brand names that everyone trusts. So use that very strategically with things that you put out. Manage your online reputation. This comes down to reviews and testimonials. The more reviews you have, the better it's going to be. The number one reason people don't buy your product and or service is typically because you don't have enough feedback and testimonials. Even right now, I mean, you could probably find at least over 100 testimonials online for my products and services collectively all together. I mean, I still get people that are very skeptical that approach me. They might not have done the research. Maybe they looked at a few things here and there, or they've read a few testimonials. We just live in a very skeptical world. You can never have too much social proof. Always get testimonials regarding your product, your service, your online course, your Amazon listings, if you're promoting stuff via the affiliate world, your new business, your book, and of course the consulting. You never want to stop getting feedback. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed this video training. Get as many of these psychological factors in place as possible. When you do, you're going to find that it's going to make it very easy for people to now know, like, and trust you and do business with you. These are proven factors that, when implemented, will elevate your status so you can help more people and generate more in terms of your bottom line. Any questions, go ahead and post them in the group. I'll see you in the next training.